Black gold, sectarianism, ethnic hatreds, and wretched nationalistic ambitions, not to mention horrendous tyrannical regimes. The latest chapter in the Saudi Arabia versus Iran shit show saw recent drone attacks on a couple of major oil facilities in the Saudi kingdom, and yes, this was a pretty effective attack. It's really put a significant dent, temporarily, in Saudi crude output. Who is claiming responsibility? Houthi rebels. As you may well know, a terrible war has been going on in Yemen for the past few years. These aforementioned rebels, backed by Iran, fighting against a coalition led by Saudi Arabia and the UAE. I'm hearing the term powder keg being used in the media to describe the prospect of this incident or something like this acting as a spark. And in quick time, we have a possible wider conflict, one which could potentially pull the United States into it. The Houthi rebels have vowed to continue attacks on Saudi territory. Mike Pompeo, US Secretary of State, was pretty quick off the mark, pointing the finger of accusation at the Iranians. Tehran has denied involvement, as you'd expect, but I get the general impression that there is a consensus view among much of the media, mainstream media, and among military and political analysts, that Iran is becoming increasingly bold in the face of US sanctions, and the revolutionary Islamic Republic can see that there is disunity between the US and Europe when it comes to dealing with Iran on the international stage. For all of his bluster and posturing, Donald Trump doesn't seem too keen on a war with Iran. The president did sack the now former National Security Advisor John Bolton fairly recently. That man, truly a warmonger, or a hawk, as they say. The Iranian government will have noticed this, and I think for them it would have been welcome news. However, I'm sure that there are those in the Trump administration who would like to see Iran dealt with severely. Now, there's talk that there were cruise missiles used in these attacks, which might suggest Iranian involvement. I understand Pompeo has travelled out to Saudi Arabia today. The Saudi regime is saying it will, quote, confront and deal with this terrorist aggression, which is certainly rich coming from Saudi Arabia, given its history of exporting vile extremism, and given its ruthless behaviour in Yemen. And as long as that conflict continues, then there is a dangerous fire burning which could spread. So, very dangerous games being played. All-out war doesn't really favour anyone. I would always favour caution and diplomacy, but as evidence of where these strikes originated filters in, and fingers keep pointing in the meantime, it has to be said that military action against Iran is a possibility.